right, welcome to the Car Dealer AI Show. Thanks everyone for joining. Today we have Milan. He is the general manager over at Mark Motors, selling exclusive luxury vehicles. We're excited to talk AI with him today and see what he's doing, what's working now, maybe some of his vision on the future. So let's jump right into that. Milan, what are you doing with AI right now that you feel like is impacting your dealership?
A lot of it is around merchandising and a lot of our social media content. We have a lot wrapped around that. We spend a lot of heavily amount in our Instagram and our TikTok. So we're focused around that quite a bit. Really it's just about marketing aspects of things, is what we're really focused on. Not too many customer facing items, just more about, how can we, present a better product in areas that has a lot of attention and focus.
Wow, yeah, that's a new one. So merchandising. Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what
Yeah.
exactly you guys do?
Well, there's a lot that goes into these exotic cars, right? You can talk about a zillion different things on specific cars, and spec matters a whole bunch. AI really helps us narrow down to what are the most important pieces. Of course, our background knowledge and personally helps us with that, but it allows us to be able to communicate in a way that's more clear and gets people more engaged in the car itself whenever they're interested.
Yeah. So, like, is that just copy that's changing, like the descriptions and
Descriptions, and then also figure out what's going to be most effective in terms of grabbing attention.
okay, got it. And then from a social media standpoint, what are you like? It's generating social posts?
A little bit, yeah. We have our social media guy that leverages it quite a bit to figure out what's going to be most engaging for our content. And it's worked pretty well for us. We've had some things that have gone very, very well for us on our post.
Yeah. Have you played around with AI videos or anything at all? Or is it just all realistic?
Some of it, yeah, there's some trending items. I forget some of the name of the characters that pop up on some of these videos, and people really like it. You know, we have the little lizard. Sometimes we'll have that, but just different things like that. Things that become popular. You'll see things trend, and so we'll follow that trend, and it really helps with our engagement.
But we just actually had a show which hasn't published yet, but it was with this guy um, that is the head of the US at this company called Eccentric Engine. And what he actually does is they actually take CAD files and I forget the name of the other things, but basically well, you wouldn't have access to this, but in like OEM portals, they have asset galleries, and you can take all those images that are to spec and then put it into his engine, and then it actually creates like an OEM compliant level video. Not that you need OEM compliance since you're pre-owned luxury, but like having the access to those CAD files and then being able to like throw the Lamborghini on an outdoor track and, and make it like feel real and so eye-catching. I'm super excited to see it's kind of a newer product for them and they're only right now working on the OEM level. But again, just thinking about the future of what AI could do, right now, AI videos for cars are terrible because the specs and everything is just off and it just looks fake and the tires are all going at different paces and but if they can perfect that, which they really have, I saw some really good footage, and it's like, wow, you're replacing like $80,000 production on the OEM level to create this thing in driving a California road on the coast. Are you doing any sort of one topic that comes up a lot is like conversational AI, reaching out to old leads or responding to new leads? Are you doing anything like that at your dealership?
Not like that, nothing yet, but I'm certainly open to it. I've had experience with it with franchise dealers before, and you have to get through, figure out which the right company to use. There's a lot of clunkiness with some of it, and there's a lot of uh conversational pieces within that that just doesn't really make much sense. So I'm a little hesitant to do that. I think
Yeah.
once it's all worked out, it'll come better. Yeah.
Especially with like being like a super high line luxury brand, those conversations with those types of customers are a lot different than like, having a conversation with your Honda customer or your Kia customer. Um, I'm sure you're selling cars that are, 150, $200,000. Like that's a big transaction. So you want to make sure those conversations at some point may be happening at like the human level, you know?
For sure. 100%. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to mess up like high end, especially dealer or customers that are dealing with you over and over and over again too, because like in the luxury market, you're not in the market to buy a car. You're always in the market to buy a car most of the time.
That's right. Yeah.
You're buying it as a hobby.
Yeah, it's super important. I mean, a lot of our team has been here for a long time, and it's all relationship based. I mean, we'll buy and sell the same car 2 or 3 times over, and, we're very particular about what we get our hands on and make sure it's a good spec, and a lot of times, I mean, these cars are, they're not depreciating. In fact, they're doing the opposite. A lot of times they're going up in value. So, I mean, there's plenty of cases where we'll buy a car, sell a car to a client. They'll hang on to it for 6 months, a year, 2 years. We end up writing them a check for more money than they end up
Yeah,
paying from a couple years back. So, yeah.
it's wild. I remember when it was my second career job. At first, I worked in an automotive marketing agency, and then my next job was I was the in-house marketing manager for Mercedes-Benz of Naples. And so Mercedes-Benz of Naples was the ultra luxury version of Mercedes. So the city above that is more like general class, and they just sell the base models. And then we were known to always have the really exclusive stuff. So we also had a lot of just really exclusive luxury vehicles in the garage. And I would go in there, I was taking pictures, and I would see these Bentleys and Rolls-Royces that had 3,000 miles on them. And I was like, what, how, like, what is the story about this? So then I started asking, they're like, oh, yeah, well, we get snowbirds. So, and they don't keep cars at their house. They come in from New York or wherever in somewhere in New England.
Canada.
They come in, yeah, they fly here, they live here for like 4 months. Well, every single time they come in, they just buy a new car. And then they drive it for a few months and then they sell it back to us. And they're like, it really doesn't depreciate that much. And so most of the time they're just kind of, yeah, putting a couple thousand miles on it. I mean, think about it, if you KBB something with 50,000 miles and then 52,000 miles, it's probably going to be like the same value.
Right.
I'm sure they're a lot of them are probably buying new, and so then they get a big depreciation hit there. But
With you guys being in luxury, so now that you brought up conversational AI, have you guys thought about where I see opportunity? It's potentially in the service drive. And with customers, like you said, you got to be like very careful, like with conversational AI and who it's talking to. But
Right.
I bet you probably have at least some people that service with you at one point, but they're no longer servicing with you. So those that inactive service customers where no one at the dealership is really having conversations with that person. So I feel as if maybe conversational AI focus like mainly in the service drive. Another opportunity is, after hours. People, believe it or not, they are looking to book appointments after hours. And just maybe some of the easier lowest hanging fruit, like a customer wants to call to schedule an oil change, for an example, or some sort of a simpler maintenance. Um, have you guys thought about maybe looking into something like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've been having discussions about that. And it's becoming more and more frequent as every month goes on. So I think it's
Yeah,
going to be important that we leverage that. And our service is a big part of our business. I mean,
yeah,
we service everything from Ferraris to Lamborghinis to McLarens and all of those cars. And, their service experience is a lot of times a lot better than the dealership level. We can get them in a lot quicker. We can pick up the cars from their homes. There's a lot of times that we've sold them their cars already, so we already have a
yeah.
relationship there. So, yeah, definitely, I'd love to leverage AI for that part of our business. Definitely.
Yeah, I see huge opportunity there. We have a few luxury pre-owned dealerships that are kind of leveraging it for that. Also like more of like just like a fallback, like so service department gets majority of the dealership calls. So it doesn't matter how many humans you have there answering those calls. There's going to be a point in time where inbound calls just can't get answered. So at least having something to fall back on if, after 2 or 3 rings, someone doesn't pick up, the AI is able to gather that call. Hopefully, it's an appointment, something simple that they can book, or maybe it's a status update or parts or whatever the case is, where the AI can simply just transfer that call. I see that the luxury dealers are there's huge opportunity and potential kind of in those areas and in the service department.
Yeah, I agree with that totally, Charles, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you feel like is the future? Like, AI is starting to consume a lot of roles inside of a dealership and really help. Maybe not necessarily always consume, but like take over things that a lot of humans don't want to do. Like, what other things are you excited about? Do you have like an idea of your vision of the future?
I think the biggest part for us, and it's probably the most important piece, at least on the variable side, is acquisition of cars and being able to source those cars. It's a small uh slice to get out of in terms of cars. I mean, it's very competitive in this space, right? So, and there's only so many to be had. So I think leveraging AI to help with our acquisition part of things, I think is going to be our biggest piece that's going to help us get to the next one.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a good friend of mine that's developing that, and so he'd be excited to hear that that was your number one thing. But and his tool is phenomenal. Super excited for it to launch, but it's focused on auctions. Do you guys still rely at that level? Do you still rely heavily on auctions, or what is
Yeah, I
your
mean, we use every opportunity, every possible space to be able to acquire cars, whether it be previous client off the street auctions, in lane auctions, buying from other dealers that may have had a car been sitting for a while, that maybe they didn't present the car well enough or the photos don't come out so great and things like that. I mean, it's the small things that really matter that go a long way on these types of cars. We'll take advantage of that. Or maybe there's a gap, you can see auction transactions are going up on a specific car and retail hasn't quite caught up to that. And sometimes some of these dealers will misprice cars, they'll price them too low. So then I'll just go and scoop up that car and price it to what the market's supposed to be for.
That's really
Yeah.
huge. I love the like scouting other dealership. How do you tell if it's on their lot too long? Since the website doesn't always say that.
Well, I typically go to like a third party site, right? Your car gurus, your auto traders.
Oh,
I
okay.
find what the best values are out there. And then I start plugging the VIN in miles, and if it's something specific that I'm targeting and it sticks out to me, then I'll go ahead and pick up the phone, call the dealer. And especially if it's, been there for close to 60 days, I know it's a pain point for them. So if I can help them exit the car, wire the money immediately, don't have to compensate a salesperson. I mean, we're easy to do business with. I can set up my own transportation and they're out of the car, they're done with it. And
Yeah.
a lot of times these cars are already reconditioned and they're ready to be sold. So it's just a matter of having them in the right hands.
How long has your dealership been open for? If you don't mind me
Since
asking.
since 2017, but we have a long history. So um, Mark, the uh, who started who started basically the whole thing, he started a used car lot. He had his own used car lot out of the Chicago area. He was one of the first Mercedes franchise dealers in the country. Back then. And then eventually opened. His son eventually opened Mercedes-Benz of Bernie, that later got bought by Group One. And then we're actually located right behind Mercedes-Benz of Bernie.
Oh,
So this exotic car thing. So now it'll be 10 years next year.
yeah, the reason I bring that up is we touch on a few like strategies on how to increase vehicle acquisition, but one thing that I know for a fact there is huge opportunity in are unsold CRM leads. So going back to like the beginning of your CRM's history, you've almost been open 10 years now. Obviously, I would like to say you guys probably do a good job at retention and staying in contact with customers that have purchased from you. But I bet you if you pulled out of your CRM those 10 years worth of unsold CRM leads that submitted something, they know a little bit about you, they went to your website, they saw a vehicle that you may have had that they were interested in, but for whatever reason, they just didn't convert. Like that is a huge bucket when talking about vehicle acquisitions that you can pull from. The issue is humans have like a capacity limit. So no one's going to go back and call an unsold CRM lead that's like 6 years old. Like they barely go back more than 2 weeks, right?
Right, if that.
If that. If that, so having voice AI be it, because no one's look, we talked about we gotta be selective on who we're, because you're like a specific use case. You're a very high line luxury, dealer, so we have to be selective on who we're having those conversations with. But I'm talking about a large data set that nobody's having a conversation with, so I see huge potential for voice AI to work those bucket of leads, which will, when you pull them out and you dedupe them and you cleanse them, I'm pretty sure over the last 10 years you'll probably have over 50,000 unique customers that are driving cars, right? Having voice AI do outreach to those individuals to run some sort of an exclusive buyback event. Hopefully, they trade in their car and they upgrade, but from just a vehicle acquisition strategy standpoint, that strategy right now is working extremely well. And I think it would work just as well as we're seeing it at any luxury dealer that's currently out there.
Yeah, I agree totally. I appreciate that, Charles. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
John, we lost you. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, go for it.
One thing I love to do on these phone calls is kind of like brainstorm what tools could be created because, I think the inspiration is the really big key to evolving this industry. And so I think I can share my screen on here. Let me share this tab. So I was just thinking about like, okay, well, what would Milan look for? So right now we have my zip code, we have vehicle price 200K and above, days on market 60 days. Like now imagine the AI tool that can just pull this and maybe increase the radius because I imagine there's not much available. 130 results, and then look for things that like you would look for. Like what are those types of things that you would try to look for beyond
Well,
this?
first thing is where are the needs? Where am I missing cars in my inventory, right? A
Okay.
good mix, a good mix, a good allocation mix is always important, right? So, and Porsches are big bread and butter. You'll see there's probably some good Porsche options that I can see that are really well. It being March, April time, I'm looking at that Targa 4 GTS. That's appealing to me because the top comes off. It's summer's right around the corner. The weather's been great. So, that might be a good idea, right? I'm looking at certain specs. If the car specs well, I don't want something that's more of like a boring color when it comes to Porsche, preferably. So silvers will typically sell a little slower, but the bright blues will do better. Those bright green colors, um, things like that are really important. I'm checking the wheels. I'm looking at like that GT3 RS that you got right there, that red one. I can see it's got the YSOC package. That's an absolute need to have a car like that. And those things are hot. I mean,
Yeah.
they're bringing all the money right now, and they typically fly. I'm surprised that dealer still has it, but
But
uh,
maybe it's priced improperly. I
yeah,
don't know.
it's pretty close to what the market is, but it could be the sticker too, right? So you got to look closer. Like that one doesn't look like it has the magnesium wheel, so that's pretty important on a car like this. Or
Okay.
it may not have front lift. I don't know. I'd have to pull the window sticker for it. So, and these cars are all selling and transacting in relation to what that sticker is, especially when it's a late model like this. So,
Moment somebody builds this tool, some dealers are going to get a little annoyed, but because they're just going to get hit. Yeah, think about all that logic. I mean, that logic is your logic, though. So imagine now there's a tool that you type in, like, hey, what you would look for, and then plug in your inventory, your DMS to see what's selling at certain times, seasonal trends, have AI analyze all that. Do price analysis to say, oh, well, this is just way overpriced. I would price it here. Let me go ahead and try to like give an offer and then also do like a visual analysis like this vehicle is terrible. Like, okay, maybe they have like some decent pictures here, but you have to have your front picture just like you see all the other cars where you can actually see the car. There's like four cars in this picture.
I
And
agree.
it's like, yeah, you can get this, but when you're searching on something like a car gurus, yeah, I mean, maybe you'll click on it. Maybe they want you to squint and they're like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's a Lamborghini. Okay. But I don't know. I'd say avoid that. Like, you can't see the wheels. You can't see, it's just not merchandised properly. So I could see Milan coming in and just scooping it up, taking better pictures. And and saying, "Oh yeah, this was on my lot for 5 days," and then it
It's
went
funny
off.
you say
Like,
that because
what's
John,
this?
I have an Aventador that was at a Lamborghini dealership for over a year, and we just sold the car today. We had it for 2 weeks. And what I
Wow.
didn't like about is the photos that were taken. It looked like the interior was dirty. They didn't really
Yeah,
give much attention to it. And it's weird because I got it from a Lamborghini franchise dealer. And I'm like, we're gonna do well with this car. You know, Aventador, same year model, just like this one is. And I mean, it got scooped up like that. And I got two backup deals wanting to buy that car if that guy backs. We wired the money today, so it's done.
So
that's
now you
such
gotta go get another one. Here you go.
Right. Yeah,
You got
exactly. So
2 more
maybe
deals
this will be
lined
the
up.
one. I don't know. We'll have to look closer.
this is kind of another one. Like, not super impressed. Like, get a photographer on your lot and take real pictures of these things. These are beautiful vehicles, but yeah, the lighting's poor. It's like far away on that key photo initially. But anyways, I'm only going into this just because like AI could analyze these types of things if you gave it the right logic, and then it could go ahead and crawl this filter, just go onto Car Gurus and whatever URL you give it, and then all the other third party sites, of course. Or
Yeah, I'm
maybe
gonna have
you
to go
actually create a
invest
list
in
of.
a
Say that
Mac
again.
Mini on my way home and start messing with it
Yeah, get
after having
OpenClaw
this
on this thing.
conversation with you.
And then now, so you mentioned Mac Mini. Have you, how do I stop sharing? Did it, is,
You're good.
okay. Um, have you jumped into the Mac Mini trend and
Oh, I need
OpenClaw and
to.
Claude?
I'm probably gonna go buy one on my way home today, actually,
Yeah.
after having this conversation.
I literally so I bought one. It's sitting over there, but it's just collecting dust. And I'm technical, but once it gets into the terminal and all this other stuff that I got to do, even though there's YouTube videos, I tried installing it twice and messed up both times. And people are like, oh, you got a factory reset. So I'm on my second reset, or I guess I'm on my third try now. And I'm like, I don't have enough time in the day to to just sit there and focus on this. I think a lot of people are just using the nights and saying, "Oh, staying up late at night and doing this," but it does wrap my head around. I literally have an OpenClaw sheet on Apple Notes of all the things that I think OpenClaw could do for me, and the list is like, I mean, I probably have 50 things on this list right now, and I think once you personally, I think with AI, the biggest thing that you have to get over is adjusting your mindset towards like what AI can do. So give me another example. We own a AI voice a voice AI company, and we do a lot of human call review. So I just asked our developers the other day that are mostly pretty young people, which is good. So anyways, these young engineers now come out of college with an AI mindset, and that is so critical to that traditional person that's probably our age that has to like slowly get into this and try to adopt their mindset. But I asked them, I was like, hey, we've been doing a lot of human review. What if we have AI just generate like 1,000 conversations, and then you bulk do it, and then I can human review that 1,000 conversations. So that way, and then he came back 24 hours later, had a full UI set up and everything. And he's like, you don't really need human review. You could just have the AI listen to it and then flag it, and then that 1,000 phone calls then maybe turns into like 20 phone calls, which I think both Charles and I are like, no, you still need human review. But to see that that was his mindset was like, oh, how do you automate this and turn this into a loop? And then he was like, oh, and then once the AI sees an issue with the AI, then it's actually going to reprompt it and just fix the prompt. And so it's on this constant like generative AI loop where it's what they used to call machine learning. Anyways, my whole point there was that if you're, I don't know how old you are, Milan, but if you're over 30, you got some work to do to just like re-engineer this mind.
But yeah, that's why I try to surround myself with a bunch of young guys. So that helps a lot.
Yes, yes, definitely. Well, if you could be any other ideas besides vehicle acquisition, like if you could build one tool today for your dealership, what would that be?
Um, Man, I think that's probably the biggest one, and then service is the other opportunity, like Charles touched on. I think those are probably the two biggest leverage points, and then third being looking through our owner base, through our CRM, and see how we can um, try to get some re-engagement that way, whether bringing a customer back in for service or or feeding more cars in our inventory or opportunities and maybe missed opportunities from the past where folks have inquired that we've never done business with. I think those are all really good points to you.
Yeah, let the humans focus on the showroom floor and the AI focus on getting them in the door.
That's right.
That's amazing. Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us today, Milan. That was really great conversations just to show people where dealers are at today and then also what they see is their vision of the future and what could be done or what opportunities could even be held right now.
It's my
Um,
pleasure, John, and really I enjoyed this conversation with you, Charles, as well. And thanks for
Yeah,
having me on. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Milan.
Like and subscribe if you like
Yes,
these
like and
types of
subscribe.
conversations.
Also, we started a Facebook group called AI in Automotive. So if anybody out there hasn't joined, please join. We're at like 1.5K members.
Wow,
And
that's
it's
quick.
growing. I literally have like 10 requests every single day for people to join. It's really booming and the conversations are amazing in there. A lot of like dealers, but then also vendors that are creating really cool new gadgets and sharing things pre-launch. Um, yeah, it's really exciting. Excellent. Well, like and subscribe. We'll see y'all later. All right, Pre, you can stop recording, please.